And welcome to Talk of the Town, the latest in music, arts, and entertainment. I'm your host, Lisa Dascoli, and welcome again, Annie Weiss. Thank you, my co-host.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
Now, our guest tonight is Carolyn Quinn,
Yes.
and she has one interesting story. She is an author who has written a book by the name of Mama Rose's Turn.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear about this.
I'm really curious to hear about this because I've always been a pop culture history buff, so this is going to be exciting. But before we get to Carolyn, what's going on with you? I haven't had a chance to catch up with you, girlfriend.
I know. I'm excited to see you because I have so many things to tell you.
Okay.
I have so many
Talk to
stories,
me.
but I'll just pick a couple of the funniest ones. Okay, so I went on a date on Saturday.
You know, I have to start doing that soon. I know, you know.
But I'm on Tinder. It's just dinner. Don't judge. And we went out for dinner, and it was great. And we got drinks first. And I kind of just, I had like a glass of wine and a half.
Okay.
And I got like a little tipsy.
You didn't eat first.
I didn't eat first.
Oh, girl.
Oh, I know. Like huge. I should have like packed in like a granola or something.
Yes.
I know. I didn't eat first, and I got like a little tipsy. And then because I'm Italian, Lisa, you know that I talk with my hands.
Yes.
And I spilt his drink all over him.
Oh, yeah,
I
Annie.
know.
See, this is why we have to learn to restrain ourselves. We actually, as Italians, we have to sit on our hands if we're going to.
It's true.
Yeah.
Just tie them behind my
Which
back.
makes us mute, but that's okay.
And then I had a cup of ice with water. I had drinking the water, and then I spilt the ice, and I got up and I slipped on the ice, and he helped me up, and I was like, please don't help me up. It just makes everything worse. That just makes it even more embarrassing. And I was staying with my little sister in Chelsea. She's 20. She's in college. And my mom's like, oh, I worry about her because she's alone in the city. And she walks alone at night. I'm like, she's in Chelsea. What are they going to do? Dance at her? She's fine.
That is
know.
the truth. There is nothing to worry about.
And that's the only time she'll probably be able to live in Chelsea.
Yes. Well. Anything else going on?
That's pretty much it. Oh, I am performing at the Metropolitan Room December
Thank you.
12th.
December 12th at the Metropolitan
at 7
Room.
p.m.
7 p.m.
So excited. Oh, my God. It's going to be amazing.
And our dear friend and our #1 fan of our show, Richard Skipper, will be there.
Richard will be
Richard's
there.
here. And Richard was just telling me before we went on air that he went to see Love Letters.
Yes.
With
I want to see
Carol
that.
Burnett and Brian Dennehy, and it's on his blog. And you know what? We should talk about his blog, too, because people should read this, because it's really quite wonderful.
It's a fantastic blog.
It's Richard Skipper Celebrates. And you know what I love about this? And I'm being very sincere right now, Richard, not because I'm on air or anything, because it's so positive.
Yep.
There is no cattiness. There is no criticism. It's just... It's so positive, and that is so hard to find these days.
And supporting
I
our
admire
fellow
that.
actors and musicians.
I admire that
Yeah.
because it's very easy to drag somebody else down,
Yes.
but I think it's just so much more noble and shows character that you spend the time. So he's waving at me. I'm waving back at him. So please listen to, take an opportunity to go online and Richard Skipper Celebrates.
And he's also on Facebook as well.
And he's on Facebook, absolutely. Well, I think that we should get to our guest, Carolyn.
am so excited about this.
And this book, as I said just before, is Mama Rose's Turn. And Carolyn, why don't you give us a little synopsis of the book?
Well, it's the true story of Gypsy Rose Lee's mother, Rose Thompson Hovick. And it tells the real story of what went on with Rose's life. Everyone knows she inspired the Broadway musical Gypsy as the stage mother from hell.
Quintessential stage mother from hell, yes.
Absolutely. And I came to find out there was a whole different story there. I looked in the family's archives in the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts, where all their correspondence is. And I just found a whole different story of a whole different series of events that happened with this woman.
But what is it that led you there? What made you curious about her in the first place?
In the first place, the very first Broadway show I saw was Gypsy with Angela Lansbury. And when I came out of the theater after the show, I looked up at the sign. It said Gypsy, a musical fable. And I said to my mother and father, but they were real people. Gypsy Rose Lee was a real star. June Havoc was a real star. What's this? It's a fable? And my mother said, I think the show was probably cleaned up for public consumption because the mother put the kid in burlesque, and this was at a time no one did this.
Right.
And right then and right there, I got curious. And I got Gypsy Rose Lee's book, and then I got June Havoc's book. And they were diametrically opposed to one another, even though it was the same story. It was like reading two different books on two different series of events, but it was sisters describing the same events.
Okay.
I was hooked from that point on.
Well, what were some of the differences? Like, give me an example. I mean, I can tell you honestly that within my own family, you ask one sister one thing, you ask another sister another thing, and it's like we weren't even in the same
It's true.
house. We weren't, part of the same family. So what was so different?
Well, June tended to make everything like a tragedy. Every single thing that happened was this big tragedy, or she was being victimized somehow, or
Drama
something.
queen.
And, yes, and Gypsy Rose Lee made everything light and funny, and she's talking about the same mother and how funny she was and all. And that had me interested right there. I suspect June might have had a ghostwriter. I'm not sure on this,
Okay.
but I suspect she might have had a ghostwriter because so many of the facts in there were wrong.
I mean, was there truth to the fact that that Rose was very tough on June, and that she was a very demanding mother for them as performers?
I think she was very demanding because she was also like the manager of the act, yes.
Okay.
And you have performing children, you can't afford not to be demanding. But I think she also sort of like tried her best to give the kids a good time, let them travel the country in vaudeville. She had these elaborate Christmases for the kids, elaborate Easters.
So she did try to be a mom as well.
I think she tried to be a mom. She even had a handicapped boy in the act.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A lot of the care of this boy fell to Rose because he was like a little slow or something, and he behaved, like maybe about a 2 or a 3-year-old, but he could sing "O Sole Mio." And
wow.
they put him in the act, but she wound up caring for
Probably
this
autistic.
Yeah,
child.
it's possible.
Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly
Well, we call
it
that
was.
that now. because of-
Possibly.
yes. Absolutely. That's a savant. So he knew all about singing. But
Yes.
How wonderful. Now, where did you start off? How did you become an author? What led you to this place that we are at right now?
Well, I majored in English and media
Where?
at Kane University here in New Jersey.
That's right. You
Not
are
too
a
far.
Jersey girl.
yes.
You are one of us.
I'm from Roselle and Scotch Plains.
Very good. We'll let you stay. So tell us more.
So I got some media jobs after college, but they weren't too fulfilling. They were like administrative jobs. And I was always interested in theater and theatrical history. And it's just on the day I found out that there was an archive of Gypsy Rose Lee's family papers in the New York Public Library, I had to get over there.
So you were just called to this person. This is
Pretty much, yes.
Now-
I was always intrigued by her, and I loved the show.
But why her? What was it that was so intriguing? Was it Gypsy that you were intrigued by, or Rose?
No, it was more the mother. It was more that this woman just put her children in vaudeville, and she toured the country with them. And at the time, I hated the school I was going to. And the kids were complaining that their mother took them out of school to put them in vaudeville. And I was sitting there thinking, what's wrong with that? Yeah.
But I think we should, for those who are not familiar with the history of vaudeville wasn't what a lot of people perceive it to be. It was song and dance acts. It was, and a stripper, for lack of a better word, wasn't what we know today as an exotic dancer. I don't think there was as much exposure, shall we say.
Probably not, no.
It was a lot different.
Right.
It was a lot more.
And it was a hard life, I think, vaudeville. They're moving from town to town, sometimes several times a week. And a mother with a troupe of performing children. She had up to 10 children at a time in this troupe. And, you have to settle the children when you get into the town, and you have to go to the theater and find out, where your dressing room is and where you are on the bill and everything, and then pack up a few days later and move on to the next place, and then the one after that.
See, I always take a second look, and I know she has a reputation as being somebody very harsh,
Yes.
very hard, but let's face it, you need somebody who's going to be in charge and who's going to say no.
It's like stage managing the Children's Act is what she had to do, basically.
And take care of them.
Yes.
I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure,
10 children.
Now, where did she find these children?
She found a lot of them in dancing schools. She had a lot of connections with local people in Seattle and Vancouver that ran dancing schools. They started out in Minnesota, where they had a tavern and a hotel, and they had a candy store. They had a whole lot of hospitality businesses. And I think the transition for this family from being owners of a tavern where they had people like singing and dancing and performing and putting your children on the stage wasn't too rough of a transition. It wasn't as exotic, I think, for this family to do this as maybe a different family.
They already had some experience, is what you're saying.
Well, it was just like this family was in the hospitality business, and they weren't afraid of hotels because they owned one, and they weren't afraid of performing because they had a tavern.
It just came natural to them.
Yes,
it was the next step.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was really fascinating when I found that out.
But what keeps bringing you to Rose? Of all, I mean, I know you said you loved the play, and it's a wonderful play, but why Rose?
Why not Rose? She was just so ballsy and so larger than life and funny, and
now was
just
she
why
really
not?
as full of chutzpah as?
I believe so, and more so. Yes.
Yes. Wow.
Very much so. But they say she was also very soft-spoken in the way she presented herself, and very charming. Could charm the birds off the trees. One of those. So she was. I think she was very strong, but she put it across in a soft way, so a lot of people didn't realize just how strong. Arthur Lawrence himself, he said the characterization he came up with for Gypsy, for the mother, was 75% fictionalized.
And why do you think he went in such a fictional direction as opposed to giving it because I think I personally think it's more interesting to see the Iron Hand in the velvet glove.
Yeah, I do too. But I think because they knew that Ethel Merman was going to play it, and they kind of tailored the part to her personality. She was larger than life, so they made Rose ultra larger than life. And then from everything I've ever been told, Ethel Merman stepped right in and did a fabulous job.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, it's an iconic role. Absolutely. She did it.
The mastodon of all stage mothers, it was called.
My goodness.
I think Walter Kerr said that.
You are listening to Talk of the Town on broadbandboxoffice.com. And just a reminder that you can like us on Facebook. And I'd love to start getting feedback from you. So please look us up on Facebook, Talk of the Town. And it's also archived, broadbandboxoffice.com. So you can listen to these interviews anytime you'd like. And I know some of your friends are listening
I've already
tonight. And they're also looking forward to hearing this.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Say hi to Betty.
Hi, Betty.
She's watching Jeopardy.
I said, Mom, we're going to have such an interesting woman on. She wrote a book. She goes, yeah, but I mean, Alex is on, She watches Jeopardy every night at 7 o'clock. That's her ritual.
Yes.
Oh, Betty.
So it's not time for Jeopardy. They're only in double Jeopardy right now. So
she's probably drinking her wine.
And you judge that?
No. I'm probably going to go home and have a glass of wine in the car on the coffee, sitting on the coffee table.
There you go. It sounds like a wonderful idea. And, now I just wanted to throw it out there. I know Richard Skipper has a couple shows coming up. I just wanted to throw it out for him as well and give him a shout out. What are your dates again, sweetie? You've got a couple shows?
Lisa Grog.
Lisa Grog
is this Friday night.
This Friday night at Don't Tell Mamas.
Jerry Costanzo is performing his Sinatra-inspired show.
And Jerry Costanzo.
Sorry.
That's okay. You
That's
can
later.
leave.
You can do
That's
both
okay.
in the
Yes.
same evening.
Because he's
And
at
actually,
9:15.
yeah, and Annie's going to be. Yeah, we said Metropolitan Room for you as well.
But you can
But
see us
you
both.
yourself, you are
I am
performing.
at the Pier 701 on Saturday night.
Pier
with a
701
cast
this
of
701
thousands.
Pier 701 this Saturday night. And I I wish I could be there. I've already got a commitment, but anybody else, this is a wonderful way to spend a Saturday evening. So
Follow me on Facebook and Twitter and get it all.
Oh, definitely. And again, that blog. Just check it out.
Yeah, the blog's excellent.
Follow Richard on Facebook and Twitter.
I have a question, if I may ask, about
Absolutely.
how the whole musical came about.
Yes, that would be a wonderful
Oh, that's
question.
a great question.
That was from Gypsy Rose Lee's book. She wrote a memoir
Okay.
about
That's right.
about growing up with her sister in vaudeville, and they made it. She wanted to make it into a Broadway show first, and then sell it as a movie because then she could get paid for it twice.
Right.
She is a very,
good.
very astute businesswoman.
Yes,
they
absolutely.
all of these people were amazing to research because they were so astute. They could sell anything, anywhere to anybody. They were really an inspiration.
See, that also makes me curious that Rose, being such an astute businesswoman, being in such a tough business, that if it was a man, what would the perception have been?
Probably that he was a wonderful stage manager of the Child's
Right.
Act.
Yes, in the end, but it wouldn't have
That's
been
what
all
I think, yes.
criticism, you know? I don't know, I just always...
It wouldn't have been this crazy thing.
Or maybe as interesting.
Yeah, true.
Because the dynamics of a mother and a child, or children for that matter, I think are so interesting.
Now, did Rose... did Baby June run away as it is in the play? Did she...
She did run away with a man from the act who was 22 years old.
And
She was 15 and believed herself to be 13.
Oh, wow.
So Rose was furious about this, and I can't blame her because
can't
if your 22-year-old man is going after your teenager, I can't see any mother in America not having a problem with that.
I don't have
Imagine a man
kids, and
that's that age going after a teenager.
I don't have children, and I would never let that happen.
Neither would I. I don't have children, but I wouldn't either. That I'd have been ballistic.
Yeah,
I would probably be sitting in jail.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A friend of mine said something similar to that. He ended it with, "And my 45 would be in his mouth."
Right.
Well, they said June told a story that Rose pulled a gun on her husband.
And
But-
rightfully so.
Pulled it in the police station. And that the safety catch was on and she couldn't figure out how to fire the gun. And this woman was from the Minnesota prairie and didn't know how to fire a gun? Hello? So I fact-checked that one, and that story turned out not to be true.
Okay.
Rose, all she had done was she said, "I have a gun in my purse," and the cops moved right in, got that gun away from her. Very funny, though, I think,
And she
how
had
it was
some-
told later.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of things were changed about her.
Amped up.
She had some other issues and situations that were twisted around that you had to investigate as well. Am I right?
Yes, there was a woman that committed suicide in her house while Gypsy, her house in New York, I should say, while Gypsy was in Los Angeles at a convention of film employees. And the rumor had it that Gypsy was there in the house and the girl was in love with Rose and made a pass at Gypsy, and Rose shot the girl.
And the truth was,
The girl committed suicide in the house.
Okay. It's a huge difference.
And it's very, I think, harmful to the girl's family
Yes.
that stories like this go around.
now obviously it must have come out in the papers, but that none of the facts were checked. It was just sensationalism.
It was sensationalism later about the story because there was an inquest and they didn't go to trial. There was nothing to take to trial.
There's no evidence.
No.
Any other stories?
Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. She would get drunk and go to her daughter's producer's offices later. She invaded Daryl Zanuck's office in Hollywood. She invaded Mr. Abbott's office on Broadway, and she was saying that she was the girl's mother and that they weren't supporting her. When Gypsy, by the way, had her in a 14-room mansion, and she'd get dressed up in rags, and could I have a little hot soup? I just need a little hot soup. My children don't support me.
Oh my goodness.
After that, they sure didn't want to, but they actually did.
I could see where June's coming from a little bit.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, yeah, as we said, two children that have very diverse
Right.
opinions of what's going on.
Yes, it could not have been easy to be in a situation like this for
Right.
these girls. I think they were in way over their heads
Yeah. I
with,
mean,
with a
as children,
very
that's a lot to handle.
drunken mother later. I'm not sure if she was drunk when the kids were little, but much later she
Mm.
had a drinking problem. And I think they needed something like, what is it called, Al-Anon or something like that? That
Yeah.
they have for the families of people like that. And I think the girls just didn't know what to do.
Right.
Do you think it was the pressures of the business that drove her to that drove her to that kind of behavior?
No, I think she was more like stagnating. She was living out in the country. She didn't have a job. The kids were supporting her, but she didn't have a job, and I think she just didn't have enough to do, and she would not let go of these kids. She wanted to be with these kids.
'Cause that was her life
were
for so
they-
long.
Yes, exactly. And they were fully grown by that point. They were living together in a mansion in Manhattan, and she wanted to be there too. And you can't blame her. It was a mansion.
Right.
In Manhattan.
And she
Right.
she felt like she brought them as far as they went, and then she wasn't included. So I can kind of see her point too.
Now, what do you think was the reason that she put Gypsy in that line of work that she was? I mean, there's vaudeville where you're telling jokes and singing and dancing, but she was a dancer, shall we say?
Yes, exotic. But actually, what I came to find out was it was Gypsy who accepted the gig in burlesque initially because they didn't have any money. They had a very good, respectable little act after June left. Rose built a whole new act with young girls backing up Gypsy, who was called Louise at the time.
Right.
And they were getting gigs. They were getting money. They were being booked all over the place. Maybe they weren't exactly making the kind of money they could have at the heyday of vaudeville, but they were still supporting themselves. And it was just that they ran out of money in Kansas City, I believe it was, and they were offered a burlesque gig, and Gypsy said, "We have to take it. We don't have any money for food at this point. We're running low on everything. We have to. Let's just do it and just go forward with it."
So she was the one who was.
She was the one, not the mother in that case.
I didn't know that.
Very interesting.
Because
I felt.
everything I know is from the movie. I had no idea any of this occurred.
Well, it was all made in the movie and in the Broadway show. Like,
Right.
this woman was driven because she wanted to be a star,
Right.
and
Herself,
like she was
right,
living
and she was-
vicariously.
she
right, exactly.
actually had a baby, little June, who could dance on her toes and who was like a ballet prodigy. And it all evolved from there. And
Okay.
again, for a family that owned taverns that entertained and hotels and everything, putting these kids in vaudeville seemed logical, I
Right.
think.
Now, before we run out of time, I want to make sure that everybody knows where they can get this book. So please, Carolyn, tell us.
In the bookstores, barnesandnoble.com and bn.com, that is, and also on amazon.com. It's on a great special at the moment on Amazon.
Okay. And again, the name
Mama
is
Rose's Turn.
And it is the story of Rose. And I never remember the last name because she just...
Rose Thompson Hovick, the
Rose
true
Thompson
story of America's most notorious stage mother.
I love that.
So please look it up, Barnes & Noble or bnn.com and on amazon.com.
Yes.
And again, our author and our guest this evening, Carolyn Quinn. You have been listening to Talk of the Town, and we air the second Tuesday of every month. So join us next month, which will be December 9th, for our Christmas special. Annie, you ready for that? We're going to have a
so
Christmas
ready.
party.
I am so excited for
So
it.
we're going to celebrate the holidays and bring out the old year and get ready for the new year. And
Looking forward to it.
Bring
very
it on.
good. So thank you for listening to Talk of the Town. I am Lisa Dascoli, my co-host Annie Weiss, and my wonderful guest this evening, Carolyn Quinn, author of Mama Rose's Turn. And we'll talk to you again next month, December 9th.
of Bob Gonzo's Comics at the Round Table. We are on Broadband Box Office, and we're here the fourth Monday of every month. It's the greatest show in the world. If you want to know about comics, watch this show. It's comics talking about comedy, telling you the true stories about comedy, telling you how they feel, what they eat, where they live, where they go, what they think about the audience, what they think about each other. It's the greatest show on comedy because there's no rules. This is not some TV thing on, the national channels where you can't talk and tell the truth and they tell you what to say. This is them telling you what they really feel. Broadband Box Office, fourth Monday of every month. Also, the Bob Gonzo Show, the third Monday of every month. You can watch that on ComedyMondays.com. I had to give a plug for that. So anyway, remember, I'm Bob Gonzo, the host of Bob Gonzo's Comics of the Round Table. Did I say Bob Gonzo enough? I think I did, yes. How about a round of applause from the one audience member out there? Yeah, there you go. And I'm starting to work out and flex a little bit and stuff like that, and I'm getting in shape for this. I'm getting really ready, and I just want to have a great time. And, oh, I forgot. And Sunny Winters, everybody. Sunny, give it up for Sunny Winters. She's on the show. Stand-up comic. She'll tell you what it is, right?
Tell you what it is.
You'll say it. All right, that was our little promo.
Hello, this is Dr. Barry Prostowski. I invite you to watch Courageous Doctors, an exciting new show on Broadband Box Office about how healthcare is affecting you today.
It's the Mark Daisy Show, filled with gifts, fun, and surprises, and $20,000 in cash for every viewer. Well, maybe not. But we do talk about stuff and things that you might want to think about after, before, and during the show. It's engaging, at least. So come by, won't you? We're here at Facebook, on iTunes. We broadcast from VK Media right here on the East Coast, and we're part of broadbandboxoffice.com. Check us out, come by, like us, do what you can, spend some time, take some time off, sit down, have a viewing. It's happening, it's now, it's controversial, or maybe not. But we could use a couple of more viewers, maybe starting with you. Won't you?
Hi, I'm Randy Lupo, host of The Randy Lupo Show on Broadband Box Office. Wait, is that a tongue twister or an alliteration? Come meet my favorite people, comedians, actors, writers, spiritual people, and everyone in between. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Hi, my name is Tom Ragu of the Tom Ragu Sit Down Comedy Show. You can listen to us at the Broadband Box Office, and for more information, please visit www.tomragu.com/podcast.